On our way, Ollie joined me on the way over to the Meadows. Now, it's a quick turnaround. Really, it's just a drive for him and I. There, race the horse, and come right back. The bulk of our work, my work for sure, the bulk of my work will be done this evening, right? Late this afternoon into this evening with, I think we have 4 to qualify, 2 to school. We are going to school Irish Ray, my father's horse. We are going to school Time Is On My Side. So we'll get those guys schooled. We'll get those guys schooled up today and closer to the races. Now, Irish Ray was racing. Wanted to give him a break. Just let him settle in. You know, he came from a small town. He came from PEI, much like me. And had a great 2- and 3-year-old record. But how does that transition to a 4-year-old? Does he need a rest? I just thought throwing him out in the field may not achieve what we wanted to do. Yeah, it may not achieve what we wanted to do in entirety. We do want to put some weight on him and freshen him up. I think the weight part we can handle in-house, and Gloria, who's been taking care of him, has done a good job in that regard. So maybe just keeping his fitness up. I have trained him a little bit. I wanted to get him up at the gate today for the first time since Ontario, just to see how he felt. Time Is On My Side. Obviously, we just want to get another fast mile into this guy and see how he feels. Now, man, I was so pleased. I went with Lover's Play today, trained her around 2. I didn't have my stopwatch with me. I went a mile about 2:30, 2:35, and she was very content, very happy. Now, I don't know how to explain it. Her right hind pastern is enlarged because of the damage that was done to that area, and she does touch in that area. So we have to find a way. I don't want to start tinkering too much with a horse like her shoes. I think she's shod fine. I think it's just she's got to get strong in her stifle too, right? She wasn't using that leg a lot when she was injured, so a little bit of weakness there in that regard. So maybe have a boot. We have a neoprene boot and a scalper to cover that up, but I just don't think that's going to cut it. So we got to brainstorm a little bit about how we are going to keep that covered up. There are boots you can use to help in that regard, and we're going to utilize them. So very, very happy with the way she trains. Such an incredible story. You know, I always have, it's bred into me, as you can imagine. I have a lot of cool stories, interesting stories, funny stories, and just a couple of really inspiring, respectful stories when it comes to this filly and what she overcame. It's amazing. I'll keep that one in the vault for a very long time. But happy with the way she trained today. Amy was out in the track with a number of horses, getting back in the swing of things. I think we're going to train the babies here Thursday. Now, the other problem that we face right now, we'll get back, as I said, into the swing of things next week. Tuesday I don't race, so Tuesdays I can train. Fridays is the day that Patrick DePrana goes. Stay close. I'm still in the midst of figuring out which horses we're going to put up for sale in the preferred sale on Monday. I have 6 right now, I believe, on my list, and we'll talk about that list later in the week. I think tomorrow, Friday, once it gets solidified a little bit. But what I was getting to was the training schedule. Fridays, I'm going to have to either have the races, if they can put them on later for me, or not be there on Fridays. This is the time of year, and Amy had mentioned it quietly, as she generally does, and she's correct. I have to start paying attention to going to babies, and starting January, that's when it all has to happen. So Thursday and Friday this week, we'll take care of them. It may be over 2 days. It may just be Friday. And then after that, Amy and I and the kids are going back to Ontario. Saturday morning, I'm going to train all the babies with Danny. Now, I want to check the weather. If it's good, I'd like to see Curtis come out and drone those sets of babies. I think we'll probably go with either 2 sets of 5 or 3 sets of 3, something like that. I would like to go with 5, as I said to Danny. James, I'm sure we can talk James into coming out. As you may or may not know, James is not working with us this year. He has his own couple of horses he has with his fiancée Paige, and with only 10 babies there, I'm sure he'll show up when asked, but at the same time, not in the barn every day for us, but for himself. So there'll be James and I and Danny, Dominic and Johnny. Perfect. 2 sets of 5. So we'll see how that plays out. This week, but I do want to get back to videoing the horses, obviously, for you. I'll talk to Curtis about that, see if he can come out on Saturday. Not a real long drone session, right? It's just 2 quick sets and out of there. But when it comes to our next video session in Ohio, again, weather permitting, I haven't looked into that before I did this video, but I believe it will likely be Tuesday. Great day to video. We'll get to train the horses up, as I said, Thursday and or Friday. Know what I mean by that is a large group on Thursday, a large group on Friday, so I can make the races here at the Meadows or squeeze in as many as I can, the ones that I feel I need to go with on Friday earlier, and just let everybody else go with the rest of the horses. That's a possibility also. So we have what we're doing with the babies coming up. Tuesday I would like to video them in Ohio, and the drone on Saturday. If all things work out well, that will be the plan. Now, I was a little hesitant just to put out, I mentioned in a video the other day, and of course you guys missed nothing. I've had no less than 10 emails from people saying, Anthony, you mentioned a list of horses that you were going to sell, and how would I get that list? I haven't really made that list yet, as you can imagine, through buying shares off people throughout the summer, or trading shares with people, or horses that I had last year also. There are shares that I'm going to move of sophomores and aged horses. When it comes to Anthony, I still haven't learned my lesson yet. I'm still going to lean towards babies. And although I don't have a ton of rookie shares, I do have some that I'd like to hold on to. And I know, the same as you do, that stake payment season is coming. It'll be upon us soon. And that's the most terrifying time of the year for me. The most difficult time for me is January through April, but the most terrifying time is that February, March, April, even into May payment sequence of stake season. So I didn't really know. I didn't really know right away who to put on that list. I've been thinking about it. I continue to think about it. I suspect I do have some shares. Amy and I had some shares in Mel Gibson. I forgot that we did. We have 20% of him that I might put up for sale. He just came in yesterday. Now, Jim Eaton has 4 horses of ours because we're just overflowing with horses in both Ohio and Ontario, trying to get everybody on the boat, in the hotel, as we head into spring. And that's part and parcel why you're seeing horses go up for sale next week, and why we'll continue to move horses around over the next 2 weeks. But Jim has the 2 Illinois bred yearlings still out there, and he has Mel Gibson and Mounts for All out there, and he said both of them come in and look good. We started jogging today, I assume. So we Mel Gibson. I also have some shares of Crantini. I had sold a lot of shares to people over the last week of him. I was a little taken aback, a little surprised that there wasn't more of a demand for Crantini, but I guess I can't blame you guys. You saw him leave our barn. First, he was pretty fractious, and still is. I think we've come to an agreement, him and I. But he still is fractious, somewhat, and was as a 2 and 3 year old, which for those of us who owned him at 2 and 3, really a bit. Although he was fast, it kind of put everybody off a little bit. But as he gets older, I suspect that will dissipate. It has in the last little while. Tim and Dean have done a great job with Crantini. They know him well, and it's worked out in that regard for Crantini and for us. But when you look back at that gap between when we sold him and to when we bought him back, yeah, it was a pretty nasty looking run of bad luck and bad attitude for Crantini by the looks of things. But I think we got him squared away. So I suspect, I don't have any shares, maybe 18 or 19 set aside at the back also. So I'll reach out to everybody about those throughout the day. There was one more horse that came. Oh, Snap You. I mean, she's ready to qualify. Her and Chance should probably qualify within the next week. I suspect we'll train Snap tomorrow in 2-2, and then likely qualify her right away. She'll start in the maiden ranks. Now, she's been doing everything great since she came back. But, I'm torn. This list is hard to make because I look at them. I'm like Addie with her toys, right? Like asking her to give some toys away. I mean, I love all the horses we have, and went through the trouble of securing, keeping all the shares that I had in all these horses along the way. But the reality of the situation is I can't keep them all. And I don't want to, ask people to buy into horses that maybe didn't race good last week, or maybe that were coming off the shelf or going into the field. That's unfair to do also. So I'm a little torn in that regard. But I will be sending out a list. Maybe I'll look and see if I can put more toys on the list and I'll send it out in a group chat. Now, it's important that I be clear about this. When we look at the front end of the stable.ca, I can't dilute the share prices on there. I can't reduce them. That's unfair to the people that are buying into them or just have bought into them. And since we run so tight to cost price anyway, I'd literally be shooting myself in the foot if I did. Having said that, there are some of those shares, like I just mentioned, that are mine. They're on the back end, and much like you, I can sell them for whatever I feel like it, but I've never done that in
Just like
what's that, buddy? I can't hear you.
Just like I saw first glance.
No, but I didn't own that many shares at first glance when I sold them. But yeah, just like that. I did like him.
Then why'd you sell them?
Because he ran out of classes. We've had this conversation.
Then why'd you buy them back?
Because we had classes for him when we bought him back. We sold them for X amount of dollars, bought him back for a lot less.
And you love that transition. That's why you sold the other horse that I liked.
Who's that? Which other one?
You know who I'm
Which
talking
one? I don't know who you mean.
Of Tom.
Of Tom? Oh my lord. I gave Of Tom every chance in the world to be a nice filly. The problem that Of Tom had was that she was as good in June of her 2-year-old year as she was right now, probably. And that poses a little bit of a problem. So you're right, Ollie. It's much like you're going to run into kids on your team that when you try out in baseball, you're going to see kids that are really good at the tryouts, but don't really mature that much or get that much better, and they've reached their pinnacle for that age group. Well, it's upsetting. I loved Of Tom. She's one of my favorite horses, but
Did the same thing for Kemp too.
well, Kemp was simple. He ran out of classes. We sold him. We bought him back when they claimed him, and we continue to race him. But that's just business.
You buy him back because is it because the owners of Kemp said that he had bad knees and they sold him?
His knees did bother him, but they I don't think he. See, Ontario's a funny thing. It's a great question, and some people ask this question, so it's good that you asked that. The issue with Kemp was he was racing in a class that was tailored very well for him, and it got to the point where he was in a claimer and they had claimed him out of that class, but when they started to race him in that class, he just slid just a little bit, and he wasn't really competitive in there anymore. And because he wasn't competitive in there was this massive jump down to where he could be competitive. So they had ended up just saying, I would rather sell him for what he's worth now than chase the money that we paid for him before. I think that's the best way to put it, which is tough to do, but a very seasoned horseman move.
It's not that hard for you since you've done it 3 times before.
Well, we've been on the other side of that coin too. It's not an easy transition. So there, I hope you understand that now. We ran into the same problem with all gas, no brakes today. The class didn't fill in 2 weeks, so I'm going to put them up for sale in preferred on Monday. So these are the things I have to deal with.
Are you going to sell George?
Which George? George of the Jungle? Oh, I don't know. George is a nice horse. He's got a lot. George has got a lot of work to do. He's certainly not on my radar being concerned. He's already proven he's tough. So, like a lot of horses, the knees are the softest part of the horse. The first thing that start to hurt the horses when they train down or when they're racing, feet and knees play a big role. And George has, he's towed in a little bit, so it puts pressure on his knees to begin with. So we'll be watching that.
I haven't updated their board yet. It still says that live racing 2023.
Yeah, no, that's what you can do. Welcome to horse racing. Anyway, so I'll leave a little bit of help because these are questions that all of you sometimes ask also that I don't think of as much, but he did. So good for Ollie.
Hooray.
Now, when it comes to everybody else, as I said, as far as the horses that we're selling, I'm a little coy about that because I've never done it in that regard before, but at the same token, like I've never used the private market before, so in that regard it's a little weird, and I don't know that I will. I may just send a note out to everybody on our email list and just say, hey, here are the shares of the horses I have, here's what I'm looking for them, and if you want to scoop them up, feel free to. So that might be an easier way to do it, a more direct way to do it to all of you. So with that, I am at the Meadows now. Ollie and I have arrived. We're going to race Carter Michael Dio, and then we're going straight back for a busy night in Northfield Park. At least 2 to school, 4 to qualify, 3 to race. And an update also, a lot of people asked, what's going on with What a Mission I see he's in the qualifying race. So here's the scoop. He made his second break on Friday night, which excluded him from today's races and put him on the qualifying list. So he has to qualify today. He won't be racing in the 15th race. We'll get him back on track. It looked like he had a little foot abscess. So for those of you out there saying, well, maybe it wasn't Luke, you know, at the time, I said, what are you going to do? It didn't appear to me that he did anything wrong. And now that I look and see what actually happened, it certainly wasn't Luke's fault. I know he feels bad about it, but that's racing. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I'll talk to you all very soon. Have a wonderful day wherever you might be.